Okay, so Bodoni versus Pearman, did he tap? We're not going to be looking at the actual hand movements of the tap, and we're going to be looking at some of the mechanics, some of the body positioning, and some of the reasons why he would or wouldn't tap. Okay, so we're going to start with the leg entry here. You can see Taylor Pearman. This is, well, going back here, this is always a tricky situation here where you're trying to knee cut through this position here with a butterfly hook in place is sometimes not a great idea, especially if this is in position to kind of kick through here, because people can invert through, or they can do that Kanibasami entry, and that's what Taylor does. He does a variation of that. Okay, so this is always a risk of when you're knee cutting through, but with the butterfly hook is kind of over the top and in place here. So you can see at this point, Pearman's trying to invert through here, so he's trying to invert underneath. Bodoni is doing the right thing. He's grabbing Pearman's foot here, and what he wants to do is wants to try to extract that out of this space. So he's going to get that foot, try to get that foot, and pull it out in this direction. At the same time, he's probably going to want to try and take that foot and step behind that leg there as well to block this entry. But you can see he is rotating around, but at the same time, so is Pearman, and Pearman almost gets slightly ahead of him when he's kind of shrimping or trying to invert through, and then initiates this first roll. Pearman's rolled through here. Giancarlo Bodoni's tried to get ahead of him or try to escape off of the roll. Pearman's just got one knee in position inside here, and he's got a leg on the outside here. And you can see in a second he does a really good thing where what he tries to do is he tries to off balance Bodoni, because there isn't much space. He needs to get that outside leg, so his leg on the outside here, he needs to be able to kind of kick that over the top and get it again inside that space, so he can go for that leg entry. So you can see just there, what he's done is off balance Bodoni in this direction. That forces him to put his hand down on the mat, and again it opens up all this space. Once this space is opened up, he's then going to swing his leg over and into this space, which you'll see just in a second. Okay, so you can see he swung that leg over into this space here. He's trying to make it more space, and you can see that he's doing that by once again extending Bodoni out in this direction, which opens up a lot more space. It makes it a lot easier for him to get into any of this area here to thread his leg through. Again, Bodoni's trying to defend by holding onto this leg and maybe trying to backstep through, but I don't think he has enough time, because you know the heel's exposed at this point, and you'll see Pearman latches onto the heel and then forces Bodoni to kind of ditch any other kind of escapes and then roll from there. Now this is tight. At this point, Taylor's got his legs on the outside. He's got a very good braking position, so he's got his legs crossed here. There's going to be some backwards pressure on Bodoni's hips on this side. You know, he's underneath the heel here, and he's also applying, so the direction of his knee is forcing in this direction, and that just helps to stop Bodoni from rotating around again anymore. So you've got these opposing forces. So you've got this rotational force here off the heel hook, you've got the knee going in this direction, and then you've got pressure on the hips. And Bodoni would have to address something here. He's either going to have to try to heel slip, which he doesn't do. You know, you can't see him trying to kick through. He's not trying to hand fight, and he's not addressing these legs. Now in a second, you'll see he'll put this hand in a strange position, which doesn't make sense for any particular escapes. Yeah, I'm going to pause it here. Okay, so you can see, look at the hand. Look how it's kind of flexed out in this direction. It's not in any position to kind of hold on, you know, to the leg, is it? It's and the position that he hits, he taps on Taylor's leg here. Now, what Bodoni needs to do is, to relieve any kind of pressure, he's either got to try and separate these legs, which means that he'll be reaching back, and you'll see in a second he does that. Once he taps, Taylor loosens his legs, and then he separates these legs, but he separates the legs at the end of the lever. You know, pushing down on this area is not going to do anything. He's not going to break any kind of like any attachment Taylor's got on here. Okay, so he's in a bad spot. He's essentially getting his leg kind of broken at this point, and it doesn't make sense. The only reason to tap in this area, I would say, is to put your hand in that area is to tap. Okay, and that's just based on looking at how you would defend this position and how you would attack this position. So you can see, as I just mentioned, Taylor's loosened his legs, and now you can see Bodoni's getting this 2-on-1 grip on one of his legs. He's creating separation between the legs, and that allows him to relieve pressure or even escape, and he's going to go for a leg drag off of this 2-on-1 in a second. But Taylor had this fully locked in. You know, he wasn't really trying to escape the position until Taylor gave him enough space to kind of, you know, let go and get out.